Alright, once again you're watching DJ Collection Clothing online class, and in this video I'll be showing us how to cut a top. And we are making for Wisdom. He's 11 years old, 11 years. Alright, these are the various measurements we'll be working with. The shoulder 15, the sleeve 18.5, the round sleeve 10, 9, 8, while the neck 13, the chest 32, the stomach is 30, the top length is 28. Now we are making for the various features here, which is piping neck, double placket, long sleeve with a pseudo cuff assures this, and a weld pocket. Now for every neck formula, the width is neck divided by 6 minus 0.3. We had 1.8. Then the depth is 1.8. That is the width value plus 0.5. We have this value here. So with this, we now go to our fabric proper. Now I'm working with 2 yards fabric by 60. 2 yards by 60. The yard should be at the length part. The yard should be at the length part. Or sometimes you notice that there are some fabric that are stretchy. You keep the stretchy part at the width. Keep the stretchy part at the width point. The reason is because sometimes some persons, they might get bigger in size, so automatically the fabric will stretch along. So we are cutting the front panel. We are starting with the front panel. So the first thing you do, you fold your fabric into 2. And how do you know that your folding is okay? Divide your chest into 4 plus sewing allowance, 1.5 inch or 2 inch sewing allowance. So with me here, I have the chest here is 32. So 32 divided by 4 gives you 8. So this is 10. So I have 10 here. Alright, the first line, we're starting at this point. I'm marking the very first line. This first line I'm marking is my neck line. Take note, the first line here is my neck line. Now, the first line here is our neck line. Now, the next line I'll be marking is the depth. I'm marking the depth, 2.3. 2.3, that is approximately 2. This is 2 1/4. This is 2 1/4, 2.3 here. So I'm marking 2.3. That is the depth. That is the depth. Assuming we are doing for a round neck, if my value was 2.3, I'll subtract 0.2 inch because I use that to sew. But since we're doing for a piping neck, the next circumference will be piped. So use the exact value here. So 2.3. If it is 2.5, use 2.5. Now the width, so this is your neckline and this is your shoulder line. Your neckline, your shoulder line. The next line we need to get is the width. We said the width is 1.8. That is 1/3 there. Okay? So you now make a curve as shown. Make a curve as shown. Alright? So at this point, we arrive at the neck of 13. So from here, neckline down to this point, 2.3, 1.8. Now, remember, this is your neckline, this is your shoulder line. The next line is your shoulder, which is your shoulder measurement is 15. So 15 divided by 2 gives you 7.5 plus half inch sewing allowance. Okay? You now connect this point to this point as shown. Connect these 2 points. Alright. Now the next thing you need to do is the chest line or the armhole line. To get that, divide your chest by 4. Take note, divide your chest by 4. Now the chest is 32. 32 divided by 4 at this point. 32 divided by 4 gives you 8. Remember, it's 8. But we're not using the exact 8. We're using 6 because we have the back to cut. So I'm marking at 6. Alright? Remember, we have the back to cut, so I subtracted 2 inch out because we have the back panel to cut. So the next thing you now do, you now measure from this your chest point, you measure your chest, which is 8. Then you now add 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Okay? You now connect these 2 points as shown. Connect these 2 points. It's all. Alright, so you now have that. Now the next thing I'll be taking is the full top length. The top length is 28. So from this point down, I'm marking 28. This is 28. Then I'm adding 2-inch sewing allowance. Alright. Alright, so we're almost through. Then the next thing we need to take is, remember, we'll sew from this shoulder point down and stop at a particular point. And that sewing, take note, you sew which there will be a slit. You sew and stop at, I'm sewing and stop at, I'll stop at 12, take note. For adults it's 14, but for kids 11, 12, 13. Now in between this point lies the stomach. Now remember the person's stomach is 30, so it will be a bit shaped as shown. Then take this point down. So at this stage we're now through with our front panel, so we now cut. Okay, so at this point we are now through with our front panel. This is the front panel. Alright, so at this stage we are through with the front panel. We now want to cut the back panel. Now, to cut the back panel, you fold as well. Remember the folding, the width will be exact as that of the front. Then you place this as shown. Okay. You now want to cut the back. You place this as shown. Make sure that both edges here are equal. Okay. So the very step after this, you cut off this point. Watch carefully. The back is very easy. Then when you're through with this point, you now take this down with 3 inch. Taking this down with 3 inch. You're taking it down with 3 inch. So you measure to confirm. This is 3.5. Let's confirm. 3 inch, as you can see, 3 inch. Alright. Now you now fold. You now fold this. You now fold this on top of this with 1/2 inch. Take note, you shouldn't exceed 1/2 inch here. Okay. Right, now fold this as shown. Alright. Okay, you now use this to trace. At this point, remember you're tracing from this point and not from this point. Take note, you're tracing from this point. You stop there, then you open this and you continue from here, not from here, from this up, exactly at this point here. Okay, so at this stage we're now through with the neck region. Alright, remember we said the shoulder is 15, so that will be 7.5 plus sewing allowance. So you now cut from this point. Take note, you don't cut this way. Take note of the shoulder, you don't cut this way, but you cut rather this way. Take note. So now let's watch carefully. Alright, so you now trace every other part. So at this stage we are now through with our back, and now this is how I want the back point to be. I want it this way. This is how I want the shape to be. This format. Alright, so at this stage we are now through with our back panel. The next thing I'll be showing us are the various components: the yoke, the placket, the weld pocket, and the sleeve. Alright, so at this stage we now want to prepare the various components. Remember, we have the placket, the yoke, and the sleeve. So we start with the placket. Now we are making a double placket. It's a double placket we are making. Now the width of the placket is 1/1/4. This is 1/1/4 inch. So you get a fabric that you want to use. Now you're using a strong paper gum stain, the big one. You're starting with the big one. You gum this down. Okay, so when you're through with the gumming, the next thing you do is, remember, you now fold this part. Remember this smaller part, you fold this in as shown. Fold this in, then you fold again. Okay, you now cut off the excess. When you're through cutting that off, the next thing is this. Now take a look. You notice that this other part is at your right and this other smaller part is at your left. Take note. So now you keep this as shown. You now cut off a little. The reason why we are cutting it off, I'll explain later on. Get a piece of hemi gum. Now gum this. You're cutting the part that is big. Take note, this cutting that I just did was at the part that is wide. This part, take note. So you now fold this as shown. This. Alright, then you press it down. Now, for kids, the length of our plackets we are using 11 inch. The length is 11 inch. 11 inch. Okay? So this is the bigger part. So we are through with this bigger part. Now the next one is the smaller one. The same process. The smaller one, the width is, we are using 3/4 inch. The width is 3/4 inch. And the length I'm using is 9 inch. Take note. 9 inch by 3/4. Okay, fold this in. Then you fold again. You cut. Okay, you keep this aside. That is all for that. Then the next thing I'll be doing is to cut the yoke. We are cutting the yoke for the back panel. So to do that, you get your piece of fabric that you want to use. You now fold. The width should be exact as that of the back panel. Then you now place this as shown, making sure that these edges are equal. Then watch carefully. You now trace this down. Okay. So now you get your, this is the wrong side, this is the wrong side. Now you get your suit gumsy or hair gumsy or cloth gumsy, whichever one you have. You gum as shown. You gum as shown. The shiny side on the wrong side, so you gum as shown. Okay, so when you're through gumming, you fold the edges. Now, the length here, the length of the yoke, you can use 9 inch or 10 inch. The length, okay, you fold this down. Alright, so when you're through, you fold it down as shown. I've done the fold. Remember, the width here is 9 inch. So this is the back yoke. Now the next thing I'll be doing, the front, there will be no yoke at all. There will be no yoke. So what I'll just do, I get my cloth gumsy that I'll use. There will be no yoke at the front. I don't want to use any yoke. So I get this and fold. Then you pick up this, you fold, and place it as shown. Then use this to trace. When you're through, you can remove this. So this is what I have here. So I gum this to the wrong side of our top. So you now place this and you gum. Alright, so when you're through with the gumming, while I was gumming, I noticed that my neck region was not that curved enough, so I just had to do little trimming to be this neat. So you can do that. So when you're through, you fold this to get the middle of our top here. So you iron this down to get the middle, making sure that you have the middle there. Alright, so the next thing we'll be gumming is the welt pocket. Remember, we are making a welt pocket. I'll be using black for the welt pocket. So what I'll do next is Remember, I want to show us the next component, which is the weld pocket. So I'm using the black for the weld pocket. So what I'll do is I'll get this fabric and I'll get my paper gum stay and place it at the center as shown and gum. Okay, when you're through gumming now, watch carefully. You mark a straight line as shown. Now the width of weld pocket, I'm using 3/4 inch. Now the length I'll be using here is, I'm using 4 inch. We are using 4 inch. Okay, sorry, we're using 3 inch since we're making for a kid here. So this is 3. Remember, we said 3 inch, but for adults you can use 4 inch to 5 inch. Okay. Alright, remember the length, the width here is 3 inch and the width here is 3/4 inch, so keep this aside. Now the next component I'll be cutting is that of the placket. The next component I'll be showing us here is that of the cuff. Remember, we said we are making a pseudo cuff. Now this is what the pseudo cuff looks like. If you take a look at this long sleeve, if you take a look at it, this is a pseudo cuff, as in it's kind of in a cuff format, but we didn't use cuff for it. So I'll be showing us how to fix this pattern of cuff, which is called a pseudo cuff. The reason is because we are not using cuff links. It's just your normal cuff, then we used button for it. And it's not something like that you'll be removing it, it will be there. This is what I'll be showing us how to do. Now to do that, for kids we are using the width here, I'm using 2.5 inch, 2.5 inch. Then the length here, the length here is 10 inch. We said that the person's round sleeve, the round sleeve here, the wrist here is 8 inch. Take note, this point here is 8 inch. With me I have 10 inch. The reason is because we make an overlapping here, 1 inch, going back to 10 inch. So to do that, you put this, then you gum. We're using a strong paper gum steel. Take note, we're using a strong paper gum steel. Okay, when you're through gumming, watch carefully. You just fold this into 2 as shown. Just fold this into 2 as shown. Alright, so now take it to the back, right? I take it this to the back. Okay, so when you're through gumming, you turn this to the back, then you cut off the excess as shown. Remember, you keep at least 1/4 inch there that we use for the sewing. So you now go to your sewing machine, you sew at this point, then you sew at this point, then when you're through, you turn it back. Take note, you do the same for the second one as well. So we're now through with this. The next one I'll be showing us is how to cut the piping neck. Okay, so in this video I'll be showing us how to cut the piping. Now in making piping neck, you cut the fabric that are used in a bias format. What we mean by bias format is assuming that this is your fabric. You don't cut your fabric straight, neither do you cut it horizontal. When they say bias, you cut it as shown, this shape. This is how you cut your bias. So by the time you cut this format, automatically the fabric becomes stretchy. And if you should use this to pipe your neck round, automatically it will relax properly. So having said this, this is my fabric that I'll be cutting. Now watch carefully, we said bias format. So this is my bias format. And the width I'll be using for the bias, I'm using 2 inch. Using 2 inch wide, as long as possible. Okay. So I have this with me. So the next thing you do, you get your hemi gum. You get your hemi gum. Let me make sure that all parts are equal. The next thing you do, you get your hemi gum. Get your hemi gum. Then you place it at the middle. So let's Place it at the middle. Watch carefully. After this, now fold both edges as shown. Fold both edges down as shown. So iron this down. Okay, so when you're through with that, you just fold, put your hemigum there, then you fold these edges. You fold this down and you press it. Okay, watch carefully. The next thing you do, you fold again into two. While you're folding, make sure that the down part is wider than the front. While you're doing this folding, take note, the down part should be wider than the front. Take note. Alright, now if you take a look, you notice that the down part here, if you take a look, you notice that the down part, though it's not showing properly well, the down part here is wider than the front. The reason is because we'll be sewing at the top. So while you're sewing at the top, automatically it will climb at the down part. That's why when you're folding, the down part should be wider than the front. Take note. Alright. Alright, so at this stage we're now through with all our components. We now want to start the sewing proper. So the first thing, you pick up your front panel, and remember we fixed our bum stick there, so it's on fold at the center. I'll be dividing, remember we said there is no front yoke, so I'll be dividing this down to the width should be at least 8 inch. Take note, then it hits the notch. Alright, so you cut this as shown. Now to begin with, you pick up your small placket. Now I want to fix the placket. The small goes to your left. Now the good side, take this to the back. Remember the wider part, take this to the back and you place it as shown. Take it. Then you now sew as shown, just by the tip. Shave it down to the point where the notch is. Then now take it to the big side. Remember you started from the wrong side. Take note. Now move this to the big side and close it as shown. Close this, as you can see. And now sew. Stop at where the notch is. So in that case, we're through fixing the small plackets. So keep the bigger plackets. This time I'm fixing the bigger placket, which is this, at your right. Take note, at your right. So you turn this to the wrong side as shown. Then you open this. The side that is wide, as you can see, the wider part, you place this as shown at this open point, making sure that these edges are equal. Then you sew just as you do for the smaller placket. Now you take this to the big side. Now before you top stitch, now you start somewhere from this point. Take note. You sew from this point down round, so watch carefully. When you stop there, go to the left one, close this. Alright, we're trying to cover this down. Now watch, can you make sure that this folded point is at the middle. Remember, while you're cutting, preparing the components, you make sure that you look at the middle line here. This is the middle, so you make sure that this pointed part is at the middle. Okay, move over to this way. Over to this way. Make sure that it close it down. Try to make sure that the bigger one is covering the smaller part. As you can see, that's what I'm trying to arrange. The bigger one should cover the smaller one. Stop. Remember, the opening there should be at least 7 to 8 inches. So stop there. Right, so that is how to fix your placket. So we're through fixing our placket. So the next thing I'll be showing us is to fix our weld pocket. The next component I'll be showing us is to fix weld pocket. To do that, you're fixing your weld pocket as it is at the right part. Now, move over to the table for some preparations. Alright, the next thing we want to do now is to fix our weld pocket. To do that, now from this point here, you are doing it at the right part. From this point down, you mark at 7 inch. Then the distance away from the placket is 1.5 inch. So this is the point where we'll fix our weld pocket. So now you get your semi-soft paper gums here at the back. At the point where you fix your weld pocket, you place your paper gums. It's optional. If you don't want to put it there, it's still okay. So you want to fix the weld pocket now. Alright, so the next thing we want to do now is to fix the weld pocket. Remember, this is the point of fixing the weld pocket. And this is the weld pocket. Now, what you do is you place this here as shown at the point there, making sure that the middle here is in line with this. Okay, so you place this, making sure that this point, remember this is the point where we mark this point here. So you make sure that this point is in line with this point. Alright, as shown. Okay, so the very first thing you need to do is sew from here. You are sewing from this point here. Make sure that this point is very tight. Sew from here to this point, and you skip your needle from this point to this point. So let's do that now. Okay, so when you're through sewing, I've done the sewing. So the next thing you do, you pick up this, then you cut from the middle. Take just the middle alone into 2. Then when you're through doing that, you fold this again. Try to cut everything. The black was the front as shown. Okay, so the next thing you do is you cut from, remember at this point, down 1/2 inch away from this point. You divert, watch carefully. You divert as shown. Divert to this point as shown. Make sure you cut down. You shouldn't exceed this point here. The last thread there, you shouldn't exceed that point. Okay, you need to be very careful. Cut this other part as well. 1/2 inch away, then you divert as shown. Cut down. Okay, then move over to this other parts. 1/2 inch away, then you divert as shown to this other point. Cut down. Okay, then same thing this way. Alright, so the next thing we'll be doing is to use our press iron. So let's do that now. Okay, so when you're through, you have a double weld pocket and a single weld pocket, but in this video I'll be showing us just the single weld pocket. So you take this down, the upper part, everything, you take it down, then move this in as shown. Everything. Now, for this other down part, remember the width of this point was exactly 3/4 inch. So you make sure that if you fold and you remain that 3/4 inch, unlike that of the up that you folded everything in. But this point you fold 3/4 inch. Then you take this, and remember we said we are making a single weld pocket. Okay, our pocket is almost ready. So here we go. Alright, so you iron this down. Also press this down. Okay, as you can see, this our weld pocket is almost ready. So the next thing you do is you turn this to the back, you top stitch this point very tight. You also do the same thing for this other part. So let's do that now. Alright, so I've sewed the edges. As you can see, I've also sewn this other part. Alright, the next I need to do is to sew this other part. Take note, this is the up part. Take note. Let me remove this. This is the up part. So you sew this. Remember, you sew this opening here. This opening, as you can see, this opening, you sew it to this up part alone. So let's watch carefully. Trying to sew the up part. Okay. This is why you're doing that, so that it shouldn't pull out. Take note. You're doing that for this knot to start pulling out from here. Okay, so after that, the next thing you do is to sew this round. Just sew this round. Remember, there are some weld pocket that they normally use for pen. Some you notice that you see pen, they should make it as deep as possible. But this one is just making a fancy weld pocket. So we're cutting off the edges. So you get a weaving machine and weave this one. So this is how to fix our weld pocket. So at this stage, we're through with our placket, we're through with our weld pockets. So these are placket and these are weld pockets. Can you see? Alright, so the next thing is to do the joining now. Then see, we're almost through with our top. Alright, so we now want to do the joining now. Now, I didn't show us this. This one is kind of a fancy inner yoke for the back panel. This is the good side and this is the wrong side. So you just, the way you cut your normal yoke, you also cut this. But take note that this will be shorter than the main yoke. This one is the inner yoke, kind of a design. So that is it. So the next thing, you pick this. You now want to join now. You pick this, then you pick your front panel. This is your back panel, this is your front panel. Now the wrong side facing each other. Now at this neck point, you place the two together. Then you pick your back yoke as well. The back yoke, first one was the back panel, front panel, then your back yoke. Making sure the good side facing this as shown. Then you sew half in. Remember, when we were cutting, we folded the front, the back on top of the front with half inch. So you're sewing up that half inch now. Making sure that these three are equal. Sewing it to the end as shown. Alright, do the same thing for the second panel as well. Together as shown. Sew off half inch. Okay, when you're through, you now turn this to the back. Turn it to the back panel. Alright, now before you join this, before you close this down, now you top stitch this point, this shoulder point here, you top stitch it so it to be neat. So let's do that now. Okay, I'm trying to sew the shoulder point. The reason why we're doing that is for the shoulder point to be well relaxed. So at this point, you now want to sew the back yoke down. Remember, it's open, so we're trying to sew this down. So now sew this. Okay, so the next thing, we go to the table. So the next thing we need to do now is to fix our sleeve. Alright, so this, we are through with the joint. You notice this excess, so you can trim it off. Try to trim off this excess. Okay, so do the same thing for this other part as well. Alright, you also notice at the shoulder, at the stomach region, you can trim off this as well. So I'm just trying to use this beginner's approach. So even learner, as a learner, you full up. Alright, so now if you take a look at the neck region, you notice that it is not properly, so you also trim this part very well. You trim off this part as well. Okay, cut off this. Alright, so that is it. Okay, so now if you take a look, I'll make sure that the front part is deeper than the back. The reason is because you don't want this shoulder region to be rumpling or squeezed, to avoid that. So you put a notch here, you also put a notch here. Alright, so we're almost through. So the next video I'll be showing us is how to cut this sleeve. Now before we cut our sleeve, watch carefully. I want to measure this down. This, I'm having 8 inch. Take notes from this point here, your armhole. Make sure you measure it down. Make sure your tape shouldn't move. Okay, 8.5 inch. Take notes, 8.5 inch, as you can see, 8.5 inch. So we'll keep this aside. So now to cut the sleeve, I'll be using this black fabric to cut our sleeve. So watch carefully as we cut our sleeve. So the very first I need to do, I'm folding this into two. Okay, then remember, in our sleeve we have your outer sleeve and your inner sleeve. Your outer sleeve is longer than your inner sleeve with 3 to 5 inch. For kids, I'll be using 3 inch. So I'll be marking a straight line. The very first thing you need to do, you fold the fabric into two. And how do you know that your folding is okay? Remember, we had the 8.5 there, the armhole. So I'll fold at least 10 inch or 9 inch. Let's say, okay, let me use 9 inch. So the width of my folding here is 9 inch. Alright, so now I'll mark a straight line, and this very first line is my outer sleeve. And we said the difference between your outer sleeve and your inner sleeve ranges from 3 to 5. So for kids, I'm using 3 inch. So here is 3 inch. Alright, now remember this, the width here is 9 inch. So I'll make half of which is 4.5. Let me use this. That is the middle there. So I'm making a slant here as shown. There are different patterns of cutting a sleeve, but I think I'm working with the easiest pattern. Now, in between this, I'm moving up half inch. Then in between, you're moving down by half inch. So you connect this, make an inverted X as shown. Alright? Okay, so we're now through with our armhole. Now, our cuff. Remember, while we were making the cuff we made, the width of this cuff here is 2.5 inch. So the next thing I'll be doing here is to take the sleeve length. Remember, the sleeve length of this person is 18.5 inch. So I'll subtract the 2.5 inch. If your cuff width is 3, you subtract it here. So watch carefully at this point. This is the 2.5 inch for the cuff. Now the length is 18.5 inch. So you mark 18.5 inch. Then half inch goes for the joining of your top. You mark it. Then half inch goes for the joining of the cuff itself. So now Now then the round sleeves, take note, the round sleeves, back to the round sleeve. The round sleeve we have 10, 9 and 8. The 10 is the upper part, which is, first let me take the armhole first. What we measured in our top was 8.5. So from this point measure 8.5 down. This is 8.5, but I will not use exactly 8.5. I will use 9 or 9.25. Reason is that sometimes if you take a look, when you're sewing your sleeve to the top, you notice that the sleeve is shorter than the top. So instead of marking 8.5, I'll mark at 9 inch. Alright, now we said the round sleeve at the top is 5 inch plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then the upper part here is 9, 4.5 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then this point here, the round sleeve at this point here is 8. That is 4 inch plus sewing allowance. Okay, so you now join this point down to this point. So at this stage, we now through it our sleeve. This is how you cut your long sleeve. Remember, we're not fixing placket. We are not using placket for this, so this is what we use to cut the other part as well. Alright, back to the cuff. Now, this is what we did. Remember, I told us that you sew the edges down. When you're through sewing, you turn this to the good side as shown. You turn this to the good side as shown. Okay, you iron this. You bring this out. Let's iron this out. Okay, now remember I told us that this we are not using button for this, neither are we using cufflinks for this. So the next thing you do, you now fold this. Make sure, as you can see, there is an overlapping. You fold this. Remember, the person's round sleeve is 8 inch, so you fold this in a way that it will be up to 8 inch. Take note, you fold this in a way. Now, if you take, now watch carefully, you notice that if this, the width here and the width here, it might be a difference of ½ inch. So if you should use 8 inch here, this point might be 8.5. So this place, it won't pass freely. So you might make this point here 8.5. Take note. 8.5. Alright, so my folding here, the width will be 8.5, so that the hand can pass freely. So you fold this. So this is what you use to sew our sleeve round. So you do the same for the other one. Remember, 8.5 instead of 8 because of this point. So you use this to sew round. 8, and you measure that you have 4.25. That is 8.5. Alright. So at this stage, we now want to join our sleeve to the top. So at this stage, I want to join the sleeve now. Now, this is the wrong side of our sleeve. So this is the good side, this is the good side. Good side to the good side. Now, there's a notch. You make sure that there's a notch at the middle. So the notch should go in line with the notch of your top. Remember, we added ½ inch, so I'm sewing ½ inch round. Watch carefully. Sewing ½ inch round, and you're making sure that the edges here are equal. Now if you take a look, you notice that the sleeve and the top are equal. There's even an excess of the sleeve. It's okay, it's still fine. Leave it out. Alright, so continue the other half. So this is how we join our sleeve to the top. The next thing I'll be showing us is so you do the same for the other parts of your sleeve as well. You're fixing the left. So the same pattern for the right as well. Starting from the middle. Okay, so we're through with the weaving. The next thing is for us to do the joining. Now, starting from the sleeve. Now, you close this as shown. Close this from the good side to the good side. Now remember, I said that this point here will be wider, maybe wider than this point here, the wrist. So instead of using 8 inch, I'll be adding at least ½ inch. So I'm sewing, instead of sewing at 4, I'm sewing at 4.25. 1/4 inch. Take note, 4 1/4 inch. So I'm sewing this down, down. Remember that this point here is 9 inch, so 4.5. Then the upper part here was 10 inch. Take note of all those points that we measured. Now take note that these 2 points, also watch that these 2 points here should be equal. Take note, these 2 points here should be equal. So remember, this is where we will stop. You sew and stop at, you said you're sewing and you're stopping at 10 inch. Stopping at 10 inch. Alright. Okay, move over to the second sleeve. Okay, so you take the same measurement that we used for this other part. We used 4 1/4 inch, so we're still using 4 1/4 inch here. Remember, the chest was 32 inch. The chest was 32 inch. So from this point down, the mark, while I was taking the measurement of this boy, the mom said I should make it wider because it's still growing. Okay. It's also good that you take note of the hip, where you sew instead of the hip, because sometimes there are some persons that have a bigger hip and stomach. Okay, stop there. Okay. So the next thing I'll be showing us is how to fix the cuff. Okay, so let's fix the cuff. Now, we said that the actual round sleeve for the wrist was 8 inch, but in this case I'll be making it 8.5 inch. So my folding will be 4 1/4 inch. Take note, this is 4 1/4 inch. This is 4 1/4 inch, which is in line with this. Now let's confirm what we have there. These are sleeve. Let's confirm what we have there. Okay. This is also 4 1/4 inch. You must make sure. Alright, so you fold this back as shown. Make sure that your sleeve here should have exactly 4 1/4 inch as shown. This, we are trying to fix a pseudo cuff. This is for exactly 4 1/4 inch. Alright, so I'll try to tack this point. Let me tack this point to enable me to sew it well. Just trying to tack this point down first. Okay, let me tack this point down. Alright, now remember, we have your left and your right as well. Now if you keep this will be my right. Take note. Remember, this open part, take note, you should keep it this way. As you can see, it's facing your right. One is facing to the right and one is facing to the left. So this goes to your left, because the opening here is facing your left. So this opening here is facing your left. So this goes to the left part of our sleeve. So you pick up your left part of the sleeve, which is this. This is the left part of our sleeve. Okay. Alright. Trying to have the middle of this. Okay. Alright, so that is it. Yeah. Okay, now this is the left part of our sleeve. So this, you place this as shown. Start with this. Take this upper part, that is the upper part. So you now place this as shown. Watch carefully. Try to remove this. So you now tack just a little, just the way you fix the band for your joggers. So you just tack a little here, half inch. Remember we added half inch there. You tack a little there. So when you're through tacking this, you now put your hand inside, take it inside. When you're through that, you put your hand in, then you bring it to the wrong side as shown. Bringing this to the wrong side as shown. Then you now sew this round. Bring it to the wrong side as shown. Then you now sew this round, sewing half inch round. I'm just trying to sew this round. Okay, so we're now through. This is how to fix this pattern of sleeve. So let's bring it out and see. Alright, so we fix it. So as you can see now, this is so you now put your fancy button there. You put one here, you put one fancy button here and another one at this spot. So this is how to fix a pseudo sleeve. So the final step we'll be doing here is to fold. We're almost through with our top. Is to now pipe the leg. So let's do that now. Okay, so at this stage we now want to pipe. Now this is the bias we did. Now to do this, you place this, making sure, remember while we were folding this, we said the down part is wider than that of the this. So you make sure that that wider part is at the down. So you place this, you open this and you insert as shown. Then you now top stitch. Top stitch this round. So you sew this round. So when you get to this ending part, you cut off the excess as shown. Cut off the excess. Then you fold. You just fold this in. You fold this. You fold it, and then you continue your sewing. Just when you fold them while we started. You just fold that in. Then you try to run another line again. Just quickly run another one. Sew that down to the end. Okay, we are through. When you're through, you try to press this part down. Try to press it down from the wrong side. Make sure you press this down. And while pressing, make sure it should be this curved as shown. Make sure it's this curve as shown. Then you press it down. Okay. Then, so as you can see, that is how to pipe well relaxed. As you can see, so this is how to pipe the leg. Right, well relaxed. As you can see, it's well relaxed. So the last and the final thing is to fold it down part. So you place this down quickly, right? Place this down quickly. Now you fold the edges down round. And when you fold the edges, right, just sew it round as well. So you fold this down, you fold this part. Then remember, you also fold this part as shown. You also fold this part. Fold this edge. Remember the top length we are using here is 28. Fold this edge. You also fold this edge as shown. Do the same thing for the back. Remember the top length we are using here is 28. So this is 28. So you fold at that point marked. Fold at that point marked. Okay. fold at 28 back. So you do this for the back as well. So when you're through with this, you sew this round. So you just put your sewing machine, start from here, you sew this, you sew this, sew this round, sew this round. Okay, you're trying to sew this, trying to sew this round. Alright, so we're through with the sewing at the down. As you can see, we're through with the sewing. We're almost through with our top. So this is the placket, this is the weld pocket, this is the pipe neck. Alright, so now I want to, so when you're through, you get your press button. You get your press button. So at this point, you put your press button one here, put one here, and one here. Alright, so assuming we've done that, the next I'll be showing us is how to fold this. Okay, we're folding this. So the very first step to do is you fold this. Okay, take this to the back. Then we fold this. Make sure that these two edges are equal. Okay. Okay. Trying to make sure that these two edges are equal. Okay. Alright. So bring this one as shown, and you bring this as shown. So this now stays here. Okay, still too big, so I'll still try to reduce this inside. Alright, just trying to show us how to fold this. So when you bring this as shown, then this is how you go about your folding, as you can see. So this is how to make a simple top for 11 years old kid, long sleeve pseudo cuff. So once again, you're watching PJ Collection Clothing online class.